Let's continue in verse 17 of chapter 16. And the seventh angel shed forth or poured out the contents of his bowl down on the air. So the contents of his bowl affected the air, that area where the devil and his devil spirits, the demons, are still able to roam at this time. And we looked at that previously in Revelation chapter 12, verses 7 to 12. So the seventh angel shed forth and poured out the contents of his bowl on the air. And a great sound, a large voice or sound, loudly went out from the interior temple, that innermost part of God's temple, specifically from the throne inside the interior temple. That would be from God himself, saying, "It came to pass, and it continues to be. It happened, it occurred. It has become exactly as I said it would come to pass. The final judgment is being implemented." And there occurred lightnings, that sudden speedy flashes of shining light, the quick supply of light, lightnings and sounds, voices or other tones, and thunders, rollings, rumbling sounds, which we know figuratively refers to God's presence, his expression of command, judgment and righteousness, or justice in action. And there became a great quake, a large seismic event, a sudden shaking movement or motion, specifically the sort of quake which did not come to pass since the time when mankind became on earth. In other words, it never happened this badly before. There wasn't an earthquake or any kind of shaky movement anywhere on the earth like it since mankind became on the earth. And we know that mankind were created on the sixth day of creation by God on the earth. Mankind had never experienced this kind of quake before. So great a degree of quake. So they had never experienced it in this manner before. And the city, emphatically and specifically the great city, and that refers to Jerusalem on earth at this time. So that great city, and you know that city Jerusalem, should have been the center for God's people. However, at this time that we're reading about, during the wrath period of time, the great city became into three parts or three portions. And the cities of the nations fell. So not only Jerusalem was affected, but the cities of the nations fell. Every other city has fallen from their previous standing or status on earth at this time. The cities of the nations collapsed. And Babylon the Great, of course Babylon being the center of idolatry. And idolatry is exercising the devil's lie and power. So Babylon the Great, that great city or center for idolatry, was remembered in the sight and presence of God. God did not forget about the effects of Babylon on earth, affecting the people badly, causing idolatry. So Babylon the Great was remembered in the sight and presence of God. To give Babylon the cup And the cup figuratively refers to the portion allotted to the one drinking from the cup. Here we have Babylon. Babylon taking or experiencing the drink, whatever may be within the cup. What was it? Of the wine. And that refers to the effects being received drinking of the wine. That would, of course, affect the one drinking. Wine referring to the contents of that cup. So, to give to her, Babylon, the cup of the wine consisting of the rage, that intense passion of his wrath, of God's wrath, his lasting angry vengeance. You know, you may think of vengeance or revenge for all of those people that were against God from the time of the fall of mankind, back in Genesis chapter 3. Here we see that it is coming to pass, the final implementation of judgment. God does not forget about things that happen throughout the centuries against him. Here we read about Babylon receiving the cup of the wine consisting of the rage of his wrath, God's wrath. And what else happened? All or every island fled, or what it was moved, put into flight, away from view. And mountains, the mountains, those rising that were still there on earth, were not found. They were not located anymore. And great hail, as a weight of a talent, or large hailstones as the sum of money, as though weighed on the scales as a talent. And when you look that up in various books, it comes out roughly to 114 pounds troy weight. So hail descends out from heaven, moving downwards from the sky above on men. Of course, they are the men rejecting God at this time. And the men did what? They blasphemed God. They spoke evilly of God. They treated God with lack of godly reverential respect. Out from the stroke of the hail, or by reason of the stroke, the strikes affecting them from that hail, that hailstone, because of its stroke, vehemently, or great, very large amount, was affecting them. That great or large hail was affecting them. So instead of repenting or changing their mind regarding God, knowing that God's wrath was in effect at this time being implemented, they did not repent, and say, sorry, God, I want to do what you want me to do. I repent, I change my mind. Instead, they continued to blaspheme God.